Taxing landlords during a rental crisis. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because, well, I can't believe this is the solution to budget issues in Victoria. You know, we've got just a little bit of a rental crisis. We're seeing on our local Facebook groups here just people complaining about rents skyrocketing. Remember the video I did about the room for $250 in the working class parts of Brisbane. It's getting crazy, and Victoria and Sydney are no different. Now, of course, we're all familiar with good old Afghanistan and Victoria and how they had the most significant lockdowns in the world. They shut up their construction industry. We're all well aware of it. And that's why a lot of people moved out of the state, came to Queensland and other parts of the country. But now you got to pay for the gimmies. You got to pay for the handouts. And that's what's coming. But before we look at this one here, let's just have a look at some, hang on, we'll go Melbourne asking prices in property. Now this is from SQM, and let me just reload this page. And we can see here house prices have kind of plateaued a little bit. They're moving up and down. So the media will report housing up 0.1%, 0.2%. It's just, nothing really. It's moving sideways, as many of us suspected. Now, let's have a look at rental prices. And we'll load this up again from SQM. We'll reload and let me go full screen so I can see it here. Okay, and we can see, look at that. Now, here is the fall in rentals, remember? When we're reading article after article about people moving home, people leaving the city, apartment rents crashing. I remember there was one about a teacher who'd bought 5 properties and was paying them all interest only because that's what you do to get ahead in Australia, and was shitting bricks because, frankly, he couldn't deal with all of the interventions into the rental market that the state imposed. You couldn't kick anyone out. You couldn't, people didn't have to pay. It was a nightmare. But if we have a look here, rents have just skyrocketed. In the last, let's go the 12-month change. All houses, rents are up 20%. Okay, look at that here. Hang on, I'm looking at 2 different screens. My mouse cursor is down there and the screen I'm looking at is up there. So we're going up to $672 roundabout. And all houses didn't really go down. 3 bedrooms didn't really go down. It's the units that went down, but we're well above where they were. We're well above where they were. There you go, guys. So here's the thing. If people thought, oh, shit, the market's collapsing, sold their units then, they're kind of disappointed now if they were using it for rental income. So rents are skyrocketing. Okay, look at the historical precedent. Look at now. Rents have gone up. And, well, what's the Andrews government doing? Of course, they're going to tax property owners. This is a landlord tax. Investors are going to get taxed. And what happens? I'll put a question to the viewers. What happens when the government taxes landlords? I'll have a sip of my coffee and you let me know. What happens, guys? They pass it on to the tenants. And in this market, in an overheated market, they can do that. And they will do it. They'll do it. Okay, don't kid yourself. Don't say, oh, no, it'll all be nice. No, they'll pass it on. They will pass it on. So, Victoria's land tax grab will hurt property owners, warns property heads. And this is from Mortgage Business. The state's new investor land tax, announced in the state budget on Tuesday, the 23rd of May, will hurt aspiring and hard-working property owners, property professionals have said. Alongside the Victorian government's state budget announcement on Tuesday, the 23rd of May, to abolish stamp duty for commercial and industrial properties, it will also reduce the tax-free threshold for land tax from $300,000 to $50,000 from the 1st of January 2024. Victoria's land tax is an annual tax based on the total taxable value of all the land owned, such as investment properties and holiday homes. However, the family home will remain exempt. So there's going to be people arguing for this tax. Tax the greedy landlords. I mean, this is just so stupid. I mean, how Victoria's got a mountain of debt. Hey, mate, maybe You enjoying that casual sick leave, or the sick leave for casual workers now? You know, the people that get paid a premium for not having that sick leave now that they're getting it in Victoria? Where's that money coming from? Those who pay land tax will also incur a temporary fixed charge starting at $500 for properties up to $100,000 in value and $975 for those up to $300,000 in value. The tax grab is estimated to raise $4.7 billion to repay COVID debt over 4 years, Victorian Treasurer Tim Pallas said. Now, this is bullshit. It's not just all COVID debt. It's not just all COVID debt. There's other debts as well, but they're blaming COVID for it. In addition, the tax is expected to increase along with land values throughout that time, so the cost to investors will likely be much higher, according to the Property Investment Professionals of Australia. PIPA Chair Nicola McDougall said the policy will lead to the exodus of investors in Victoria who are already struggling with significantly higher mortgage repayments. And all of the rules and legislation changes they brought in Victoria as well to make it harder to be a landlord. I mean, this is the problem. This is just greed. I mean, they're going after the people that everyone hates, but everyone depends on. How many of us have lived in a rental throughout our lives for a certain period? Maybe before you got into your own home, maybe when you were deciding to settle in another city. You need that service. You need rental accommodation. We don't all want to live in hotels or on the street. But there you go. They're the bad boogeymans. Bloody hell. The new land tax grab appeared to be modelled on the Queensland government's similar failed policy last year, Ms. McDougall said. It does seem like the Victorian government has taken an illogical page out of Queensland government's ill-fated and investor-focused land tax playbook from last year, and we all know how that worked out for them. The Property Investors Council of Australia chair, Ben Kingsley, estimated Victorian investors with land holdings worth $1 million will be slugged about $2,000 in extra land tax per year. This is what happens when you have so much debt as well as continued economic mismanagement and self-serving governance, Mr. Kingsley said. It's just going to get worse, guys. This is the thing. Our quality of life over the next few years is going to go down for the average Aussie. You've got... There's no way houses are going to crash. Don't get your hopes up for that. You know, the government's funds that they're trying to push through, it's going to be an inconsequential drop in the ocean. People are calling for government directly to build. That's just going to overheat the market even more. I saw one economist calling for the Future Fund to invest in housing. So you want to be a first home buyer? Here's the bullshit rub with that. A first home buyer competing with a government fund to get into housing. You know, they vacuum money out of you, then you have to compete with your own bloody money that they've stolen off you by force into housing. We don't need government to get messed into that. We need them to step out away and make it easier for people to build and develop. They should be... If anything, they should be looking at areas which are not affordable for or viable for normal commercial development and step in and intervene there if you want to do that. Look at the policy for WA Labor, where they're addressing some of the headworks and amenity charges for big developments. Oh well. Victoria's stamp duty reforms are welcomed. Meanwhile, the state's peak real estate body has welcomed the state government's announcement to axe stamp duty for commercial real estate and said it is an encouraging sign for the sector. Under the new system, the first purchaser of a commercial or industrial property after the 1st of July 2024 will have the option to choose to either pay the property's final stamp duty liability as an upfront lump sum or opt to pay fixed installments over 10 years equal to stamp duty and interest with a government-facilitated transition loan. Oh, isn't that nice of them? So the money just keeps flowing in. Oh, boy. The Real Estate Institute of Victoria Chief Executive, Quintin Killian, said the announcement showed the government is listening to the sector's needs. However, he said they will announce the announcement fully, taking particular interest in any increase in ongoing property ownership costs and how they might impact capital flows in the commercial sector. Stamp duty is a significant barrier to property investment, And for as long as it remains in the residential property sector, millions of aspiring homeowners and thousands of everyday mum and dad investors are impeded, which creates a significant ripple effect or negative ripple effect on the rest of the market, he said. We look forward to continuing conversations with the government and our other political representatives as they engage the property sector on the creation of better policy for the sector. The annual property tax is set at a flat rate of 1% of the property's unimproved land value. It just begins like this, doesn't it? It just begins like this. Ah, Australia. We're never going to learn. Once a property enters the new system, after this time, stamp duty will never again be payable on the transaction, and the annual property tax will apply. The arrangements will not apply to the current owner of any commercial or industrial property purchased before the middle of next year. So I wonder if we'll see a rush of people going into that. Well, guys, let's have a bit of a talk about this one. So there we have it, everyone. Landlord taxes on property in Victoria. This will flow through eventually to tenants. It always does, one way or another. It'll create fear, so you'll have less investment. You want properties on the market rented. That's the only way you can address this rental crisis. You need to make it easier to get more out there. Oh, well, we know why they're doing it. They're going after the landlords because everyone hates them. That's what it is. The bourgeoisie, that labor, the hard-working labor, civil servants in their government jobs doing paperwork that ChatGPT could probably do, angry at. Anyway, take care, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Thanks for watching. Check out Heise BIM or Heise does for other content I create. And if you're a fan of the channel and want to support us, you can on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.